What's going on, Celtics World? It's your boy, the Wayne Breezie, man. Here every Thursday and Friday on Bleacher Report at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, talking Celtics daily. And it's kind of boring times. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to get into the Eastern Conference. I can't even enjoy basketball because there's no more Celtics. I'm not being a hater. I just know that the Celtics, they've exited playoffs thanks to the New York Knicks, and they did their exit speeches, and we'll talk a little bit about that on today. But you know what? I want to start the show. If you are just a fan of the NBA and you like to watch basketball, like let me know. You know what I'm saying? Like who are you guys, voting for? Who are you going for? Knicks or the Pacers? I had a poll question. For some reason, it's not popping up on my live screen. So hopefully that'll pop up. But we'll see what happens. But man, um, yeah, Knicks or the Pacers. Who you guys going for? You just watched the Pacers win last night, in overtime too. What Halliburton is just he's just having a field day. But let me know. Are you going for? Even I mean, me personally, I really don't care. Um, I kind of want to see the Pacers. I don't want to see any one of those teams win. I just don't. I don't want to see any one of those teams win. Um, but yeah, if I gotta pick a team out of the Knicks and Pacers, I guess I'm gonna go with um I go with the Pacers. I go with the Pacers. I go with Halliburton. I'm a Niners fan, and Halliburton and Brock Purdy are cool dudes. I'm gonna go with the Pacers. I hope the Pacers find a way to win that series. So we'll see what happens. All right, but look, the Celtics are in what we call the offseason mode. We're on that island, sipping that, whatever, and just getting some good old rest and relaxation. Um, now the Celtics are going to be, they're going to look a lot different, and we got plenty of time in this offseason to kind of like talk about that. I do know the Celtics can make trades as of right now, if they chose to. We got the NBA draft coming up soon. What's going on? Jack Knox is in the building. What's going on, Jack Knox? Thanks for being in the building. And I apologize if I was cracking up laughing earlier. I mean, it's what happens when you get caught up in just watching reels and whatever. But I do know that the Celtics moving forward, they have some decisions that they need to make because they do not want to get hit with the high price luxury tax penalties that's going to come along with them having one of the most or the most expensive NBA roster in the NBA, right? And so they're going to have to find a way to relieve some of the financial constraints moving into next season. And, just a quick update. I did get updates. Jason Tatum is recovering well, but this all starts around the Jason Tatum injury. And I'm a firm believer saying if Tatum never got injured, I don't think the Celtics would be questioning so much what they're going to be doing going into the 2026 NBA season, 25-26 NBA season. But now that Tatum is injured and he's probably not going to play for the majority of the regular season, going and of next season, coming off of the Achilles rupture, I think the Celtics got to make some decisions. They got to figure out. I think one of the goals that Brad Stevens was trying to get under that second apron, which would relieve so much pressure when it comes to the money and the penalties and things like that. Now, that's not really my forte. I just know I'm here to talk about what the Celtics probably can do. What are some scenarios? And they're probably going to be moving on from some of the players that are on the roster because of the Tatum injury, and it does not mean that they're not going to compete next year. No, don't think that's what's going to happen. I still think the Celtics are looking to compete, looking to push in the playoffs and see how far they can go until Tatum returns. But we'll see what happens just moving forward with the Boston Celtics um, in their situations financially. Now, I do know they have a couple of free agents. So at the center position, I had a poll question about some free agents. There's my polls. I'm like, why is this stuff not popping up? All right. Which player should the Celtics not trade? We'll get into that poll. So we'll save that one. But let's talk about which of the free agents do you think the Celtics should resign, especially at the center position? Now, both of their centers are going to be free agents. Horford, Cornette, both are possibly looking to come back. I'm curious to see, will Al Horford be cheaper, being that he's just an older vet. Cornette played really good down the stretch, especially in the playoffs. Had a couple of good playoff runs, games, and so maybe his price tag might be a little bit higher. But I'm curious to see like how the Celtics are going to look to address the center position. I think the majority of the Boston Celtics fan base want both of these guys back. But again, we're talking about bringing back an older Al Horford without your superstar player. Is it worth it to bring him back? I feel like Al is, even though he wants to probably come back, I feel like the Celtics are going to do him justice and put him on a team that's contending. Not, and again, I'm not saying that the Celtics won't be contending. I just feel like they're gonna let Al go and try to find the team, and then you know what? Maybe Al will come back. So we'll talk later on down this, in the off season, what may be some of the options at the center position. Noqueta's still here. But that's it. That's where the buck stops. It's Keta, and then what are you looking to do? Is Keta ready for, I guess, the big time, big leagues, so to say? So who knows? We know he's not a shooter. He doesn't stretch the floor. Feel like he's just a not a backup big, but just a depth piece that can come in, bring you energy. So we'll see. Well, it's going to be interesting. But right now, the poll votes are saying bring both these guys back. They should resign both of these guys. I like that. I like that. I mean, these are players that definitely show grit down the stretch. And I look, KP is here, signed for another season. Um, so that would be your main center. But I feel like with the $30+ million, I feel like the Celtics are gonna probably try to move on from him and that contract and get underneath this second apron however they can uh to save money on that luxury tax bill. I think that's what the Celtics are probably going to do. Now I want everybody to come back, but even if you bring everybody back, one is going to be expensive. It's going to cost the Celtics some money. And two, you're not going to have Tatum. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Boston Celtics do, you know what I'm saying, without Jason Tatum and how they look to build that team. So let's talk about which player the Celtics should not trade. And the choices up here are Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White. Now, I'll tell you who I think has the most trade value in the order that I have them listed here. Jaylen Brown is going to give you the best bang for your buck. I think Derek White is going to be number two. And we'll talk about some of the trade scenarios they got going down. And if we do trade them, which teams do I feel like can take on these contracts and the Celtics can net in return uh, some good stuff, good value, right? Drew Holiday and then Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know why I feel like Kristaps is going to be harder to move, the most hard to move. I think he's going to be the most difficult to move. I do. He's coming off these injuries, and yeah, there might be a team that wants him, but I don't think the Celtics are going to get what they're looking for in return. So it's going to be interesting to see with the Kristaps Porzingis situation. He's coming off this illness right now, and he'll 9 times out of 10 he's going to be great and good to go once the new NBA season start. I would probably, again, in the order, the amount of these players and what they're costing the Celtics, I think is Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, White, and then Holiday, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but I know the money is up there. Like all three of those dudes is getting paid per year some guap. Real talk. Like and that to me, again is why I feel like the Boston Celtics are looking to, you know what I'm saying, to lessen that yearly cap money. They got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. If not, they're going to be spending hell of money and penalties. And I know that's not the way the Celtics want to go, especially into the next couple of seasons, especially without your star player there. So it's going to be interesting. All right, Jax has a question. Who do you think is on the chopping block? Why do I feel like you're watching an episode of Chopped, one of my favorite TV shows? If you guys watch the Food Network, Chopped. Who do I feel like is on the chopping block? Ah, man. I think they're gonna. I don't know. I really don't know. Who do I want traded? I think the Celtics need to find a new home for KP and Sam Hauser. Maybe try to package those two in a deal. That's what. That's probably almost $40 million you package up in those two contracts. I feel like that's what the Celtics need to do. They need to package up those two guys. The reason why I say Sam Hauser is, I mean, he, he, for some reason, like Sam Hauser with the back issues, he just hasn't been the same. And they drafted Baylor Sharman, and I really feel like it's time. This will be the season for the Celtics to develop because you don't have Tatum, and so this will be the year where if you keep Jaylen Brown, you just let him be the main guy. He's the main focus. Support him with the Derek White. Support him with the supporting cast, and let and develop your rookie last year that you drafted, Baylor Sharman. We already know he can shoot. We already know he's a good defender. He has the length. He's a wing. We already know he fits what Brad Stevens likes. He just didn't get minutes enough to develop and build consistency. I feel like Baylor Sharman should get those opportunities going into next season if they choose to move on from a guy like Sam Hauser. I feel like you can always add depth. You can always add a shooter. You can always add those players. But who do I think is on the chopping block? I don't feel like anybody's going to get chopped. But as far as traded, yeah, man, the trading block, I think you got to put KP up there. I think they take calls for Derek White too. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I think they're gonna take calls on Jaylen Brown. I think that Jaylen Brown is gonna be a domino effect. All right. So what do I mean by that? Well, you got a couple of players out there. Teams are wanting Giannis, and Giannis wants to be gone. So I think the top two players out there will be Giannis and Kevin Durant. Once those dominoes kind of like fall into place, I think that's when teams are going to start calling. All right, man, what do you want for Jaylen Brown? We can offer you this. We can offer you that. We can offer you this. We can offer you that. And there are a couple of teams out there that I feel can do the Celtics their due diligence and what they're probably looking for in return. The Houston Rockets, Coach Ime Udoka, former coach for the Boston Celtics. They have tons of young assets, tons of draft picks, tons of draft capital that won't affect the Boston Celtics and their salary cap. They'll be underneath. You'll move on from that 230+ million contract, and it'll definitely lessen up the strain. And then the Celtics will probably get a couple of players in return with expiring deals. Maybe a Fred Van Fleet. I think he has 1 year left on his expiring deal. So now you get another point guard back. So it's like maybe they'll move on from a point guard as well, just to get that money underneath, and then they'll have some draft picks. And so then the Celtics would end up with a new 2025 draft pick, a top 10 draft pick, and then they'll also have their picks with, I believe they draft 28th and 32nd. And so we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, but I feel like a couple of teams, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, another young team that will probably move on from players. Here's a trade scenario that I came across. All right. So who says no to this trade? Jaylen Brown for 2025 pick. It's the second pick. 2028 first round pick, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Julian Champagne. So you're getting 2 first round picks and then 3 players. So you're getting a first round pick in 2025, a first round pick in 2028, and then you're getting 3 players with probably expiring deals that you'll just go ahead and move off the books. They'll become free agents. But you get that second pick this year in the draft, and you can probably look for another player like a Jaylen Brown. Like that like I said, that's a tough conversation to have. That's a tough. You saying no, JB? I feel you. I would love to see Jaylen Brown return, be the man. Like I do. I would love for. I mean, I would love to see Jaylen Brown return to the Boston Celtics, and be the man. We already know when he's healthy, he can lead in scoring. And let's talk about his health too, and let's talk about how Brad Stevens feels about his future. Now, I didn't know this. We did know Jaylen Brown was dealing with injuries. We did. All right, but the report said that Jaylen Brown, from GM Brad Stevens, he said that the knee is in a good place structurally. So he had a knee issue. He was playing with a meniscus tear, if I'm not mistaken, and he played through that injury. Like, believe it or not, he played through that injury all throughout the time he was diagnosed with some type of a knee injury, and we were trying to figure out what that injury was. Now, Brad Stevens said that it's structurally good. He's probably not going to have any type of surgery. He said that he looked better as the playoffs went on, and felt better at the end of the Knicks series, and Brad called him a warrior. All right. Now, Jack, I see you out there. I see you. I love the live interaction. You said, I know we can't keep everyone. Well, that's not true. They can. They already got everyone. They can. See, basketball is a little different. When you're in basketball, the Celtics, let's just say they're spending almost close to next year with the penalties, it's going to be almost $500 million. To spend that amount of money, to pay that amount of money without your main player is kind of the issue, right? So it's almost like, all right, this is a time we can hit the financial reset button. This is a time we get a financial reset button. Due to the injury to Jason Tatum, we can come in here and we can try to find a way to hit a reset button financially, right? And move on from some of these big contracts, not have to pay those tax penalties, because that's where basketball hits you. Like, you hit that luxury tax. And if you're a second apron team and you're trying to come under that, over that apron, you're getting hit with the buku cash. Now, if the Celtics had Tatum, they may be in the running to where they don't mind paying those taxes because they'll have their full squad and they'll be competing. But because Tatum is out, particularly indefinitely, for the next upcoming season, you have to ask. Brad is probably like, wait a minute, maybe we can find a way to financially reset and still compete. Don't get it twisted. Like, the key, they're going to compete. I can feel it. They're going to compete. They're going to compete. So technically, they can keep everyone that's not a free agent. Porzingis, Derek White, Drew Holiday, these guys aren't free agents. So they can keep these guys. They're already under contract. They can keep them if they chose to want to go into that luxury tax and spend some buku cash. So they could keep them. Now, I wanted to talk about what Brad said about Brown's future. All right. And this was during the exit speech. He said he didn't fully commit to saying that JB will be returning, but he made it clear. If you guys had a chance to listen to the speech, he made it clear that there were no plans to move him. Now, this could be all cap. He said that Jaylen Brown is a huge part of us being the best version of ourselves. He used that phrase multiple times, and then he talked about Jaylen Brown leading the way this upcoming season. He said, we have tons of good players. Everyone leans on everyone. I have full faith that any game you have those guys, JB or Tatum, on the court, one of those guys on the court, you have a great shot. So I have full faith in Jalen. So we'll leave it at that, and how you choose to want to interpret that, that's on you. But again, pay attention and make sure you guys keep your ear to the streets. Pay attention as those two big names. I feel like right now Jalen Brown is safe. I don't think the Boston Celtics are looking to move him, but if there's a team that comes calling, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets. I feel like those are two teams, even the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like those three teams may come knocking once Giannis and Kevin Durant is off the table. They may be like, you know what? I want an NBA superstar on my team. We have the cap space. We can take that on. We can relieve your cap space, such and such and such. And then bada boom, bada bing, trade is made. Jalen Brown will go to a team where he'll become the number one player on that particular team. And they have a bunch of young stars that they're building in Houston makes the most sense because that's his former coach. I don't know if you guys remember Ime Udoka when he was here. They kind of put the grit into, he kind of established Tatum and Brown being defensive maulers, right? That's where that comes from. I feel like Joe Mazzulla got these guys into scoring. So you got the best of the defense from Udoka, and then you got the scoring from Coach Mazzulla. And so that's why you have the type of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. That's why you have these guys. So look, and again, if you're a Celtics fan and you love Jalen Brown and you don't want to see him go, I understand. That's me. But I am understanding the business. And I do understand that, it's about the team. It's not about the players, it's about the team. It's always about the team. It's going to always be about the team. And maybe I'll do a show on who I feel like should be the untouchables. But I feel like Jalen Brown, he's a pillar and he should be an untouchable. But what's going to happen is there's going to be teams that are calling because they want his talent and it can help the Celtics reset. And I think that's the key. I don't think the Celtics are moving on from Jalen Brown because he turned the ball over, or they're moving on from Jalen Brown because he can't dribble, or they're moving on from Jalen Brown because he struggled from the free throw line. No, I don't think those are the reasons. I think those things can be worked on. I think they'll be moving on from Jalen Brown mainly because the team is willing to give them king's ransom. And I think when the team makes you an offer, you can't refuse. I think you just got to pull it. I think you got to pull it. I think you got to go ahead and accept the offer. So let's keep our ear to the streets. Jalen Brown will 9 times out of 10 be a hot commodity. 9 times out of 10, he's going to be a hot commodity. And again, I think it's going to happen after the Giannis and after the Kevin Durant phase ends. Those will be the top two players that teams will be seeking for. Now, I talked a little bit about Derek White. Look, a team like give me a team like the Golden State Warriors. They might want to come and offer for first round pick for Derek White. See what I'm saying? Like these are those offers. It's like, dang, I could get a first round pick. I can get a top. Where I think I'm not sure where they pick Golden State. Where does Golden State draft this year? It doesn't have to be a first round pick this year, but just these first round picks. Golden State draft picks in 2025. They acquired the 41st pick from the Heat, the Jimmy Butler trade. And let's see, the trade also involved other players' picks with the Warriors in the number 20 to Miami. So they gave up their first round pick. So yeah, I don't know what the offer might be, but there's going to be teams out there that's willing to offer the Celtics more for some of the players. So what's next for the Boston Celtics? That's the question. Like what's going to be next? Are they going to compete next year? Are they going to be totally different next year? And I think we just got to kind of like stand around and just kind of fall back and just see what happens. It's going to be an interesting offseason. We still have a lot of basketball left to be played this year. We don't have champions yet. No, none of us is root for the Knicks. None of us are root for the Pacers. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to come out and represent the Eastern Conference, and we'll see what happens against the Western Conference team. Congratulations to SGA on MVP. He deserves a round of applause. And the Celtics just got these players just got to come out and they got to continue to find ways to improve. Whether we have Drew, whether we have Derek White, it really kind of doesn't matter who we have. And, what do I feel like should be next for the Boston Celtics? I think they should look to bring back their superstars. If you have a superstar, I really feel like you should trust in that superstar. Um, and maybe try to find softer resets financially. I get it. Jaylen Brown would give you a big financial reset with the luxury tax reset and then probably get you under that second apron for sure. I get it 1000%. You just got to find the right team to offer the right package to make it all happen. Might take 3 teams. Who knows? But maybe they're going to move on with a combination of some of the other players. Maybe this is the last we've seen Drew Holiday. Drew does want to come back as a Boston Celtic. He doesn't want to leave. But again, if teams make the Celtics offers they can't refuse, we'll see what happens. The one thing I do know, one thing that I've learned is to trust Brad Stevens. My full faith and trust is in Brad Stevens, and whatever he